there's an obligation that universities have to say what their values are loud and clear, and not just about anything goes in terms of speech, but also, the ideas that they oppose.
This is Faith Complex, a dialogue about the entanglement of religion, politics, and art.
Hi, I'm Sarah Feinberg of Georgetown University, and you're watching Faith Complex. Our guest today is David Friedman, the Anti-Defamation League's Regional Director here in Washington, D.C. Mr. Friedman, welcome to Faith Complex.
Good to be here.
I'd like to start with showing a short clip about what happened at UC Irvine about a year ago during a campus speech by Ambassador Michael Oren.
Spent much of his life speaking Hebrew.
Michael Oren! Propagating murder is not an expression of free speech! Shut up!
And then later I met the foreign minister of Israel. Those of you who know him. To Americans, it was their divinely ordained duty to help the old Jews get back to their promised land.
To drop out and waste your parents' money. You're failing your exams. You are failing.
David, what is your reaction when you see this?
I've seen that clip many times, and it never gets easier. It's chilling. It's shocking. I think it's mandatory viewing for college presidents. This is the worst case scenario and a very sad day for academic freedom.
This year marked the 7th anniversary of the infamous Israel Apartheid Week. Could you tell us what it is? Who are the organizers? What are the goals?
Well, this was a development in 2005 in Toronto, and it was an attempt to, in a sense, demonize, to isolate, to vilify the state of Israel through a very obscene comparison, which is that of the apartheid South African regime and the state of Israel. Today, 7 years later, there have been something like a dozen cities this year which are going to have Israel Apartheid Week. So this is not exactly a torrent across campuses. At the same time, it has legitimized this language which speaks of Israel in terms of apartheid.
Let's go back to this term, apartheid. Abe Foxman, the director of the ADL, was quoted in Haaretz saying that the use of the term was dishonoring the memory of the Holocaust and was the latest manifestation of the infamous Zionism equals racism mantra of the 1970s. So what is the hidden agenda behind the term?
Well, it's a very important question. There is no historical truth. There is no factual truth for Israel being labeled an apartheid state. There are several reasons why it is being promoted among the groups that are anti-Israel. The first and foremost is that this is, a very, very compelling word. It is a powerful word, much as, the co-opting of the Holocaust and Holocaust imagery is. When you use the word apartheid, you get people's attention. Second, it wraps anti-Israel activity and rhetoric. It wraps it in a mantle of a long-standing and well-recognized human rights situation in South Africa. So in other words, it takes what was a legitimate struggle and places it in a new context, in really an illegitimate struggle.
Columbia University's president, Lee Bollinger, noted that professors are, yes, protected by the First Amendment, but they have the duty to present different sides of an issue. So where do you draw the line between a professor's duty to preserve a diversity of opinions and his right to free speech?
This is one of the more complex issues that we deal with, and it's certainly something that is very complex on campus. One of the keys to this is understanding not simply what the professor is saying in class, but how they are treating the students. There are cases that we have heard about in which people have come to us, in which students have attempted to raise issues, particularly on issues relating to Israel, which in some ways clashed with that of the professor, and they were made to either feel as outsiders or somehow demeaned and insulted, and that is simply unacceptable.
To go back to the Colombia case, in 2007, President Bellagio hosted President Ahmadinejad from Iran, and he pronounced publicly a speech in which he made fiercely anti-Israel statements. Do you think that institutions such as Colombia should give a platform to such people?
It's ironic. I graduated from Brandeis and I went to graduate school in Columbia. Brandeis hosted Jimmy Carter, Columbia, the president of Iran. And yet in both situations, we're dealing with an institution which in some ways had lost sight of what its objective was. In offering the president of Iran an opportunity to have a platform, they weren't just guaranteeing his freedom of speech. What they were providing him was an unbelievably powerful platform, and in many ways an honor. To give a man with the kind of a record that he has, that kind of an honor, is unbecoming of a university. And here's the sad truth, that while the justification may be an attempt to give this person a platform so that they can expose themselves, these people like Ahmadinejad, Louis Farrakhan, and others are very skilled at manipulating those who think that they are manipulating them. When Columbia University provided him with a platform, they didn't make a real effort to provide opportunities to question him in ways that would place him in a position in which his ideas would be exposed. The same was true of Brandeis and Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter essentially dictated the format for that whole presentation, that evening with him. It is very important that universities, when they give a platform for prominent individuals, understand that they can't just allow that person to control the way in which their message will be presented.
So the ADL has a long tradition of defending the First Amendment on campuses. Does your position on hate speech and speeches critical of Israel contradict that stance?
Not at all. And you know, we're sitting on Georgetown University, and Georgetown has one of the best case studies of what this is all about. 2006, there was a conference held on this campus, Palestine Solidarity Movement. They had appeared at 3 other campuses, and they had basically run roughshod over the administrations, which said nothing. This was the exception. Jack DeGioia made a very, very powerful statement. As someone who knows a little about apartheid, he said he rejected that comparison, and the university would not divest from the state of Israel. Why that was so important? Other presidents forgot that they had voices. He remembered that. A very simple thing. People can say what they will on this campus. The administration has an obligation to set the record straight when there are false statements made, and to remember, it's educating. It's taking positions every day. There's an obligation that universities have to say what their values are, loud and clear, and not just about anything goes in terms of speech, but also, you know, the ideas that they oppose.
We've been speaking with David Friedman. David, thank you for coming to Faith Complex.
My pleasure, sir.